Yo, what's going on YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. This is part 4 of the 2JZ build series. Yeah, so let's get it cracking, man. Today we're gonna be installing the water pump, oil pump, gonna be putting in all the seals inside of the oil pump and things like that. We're gonna be putting in the galley plugs. I've noticed that I went to go do some research on these galley plugs and there was no research about them. So I'm gonna be showing you how to install those galley plugs in there and we're gonna get it kicking from there. But what we got here on the table is a couple of items that we're going to need for this install. Of course, we got a bunch of seals and everything, or O-rings and stuff for the block for the oil pump. Of course, we got the rear main seal here that we're going to be installing today. Oil pump with the front main seal and all the bolts and everything that goes with it. Then over here we got our water pump kit with all the O-rings and gaskets and stuff necessary with it. I will be going over part numbers and stuff with you once we get to that point as well. Got all the bolts and everything like that. And then of course here we got our galley plugs. Surprisingly, there was no research on these, man, besides to buy them. But I'll show you guys how to install those if you ever come across you building your 2JZ and you need to put those in. And we'll kind of go over that. As of right now, let's get cracking. First thing we're going to be doing is installing or taking our oil pump over to the bench over here, and we're gonna go ahead and press in this little seal there. We are back. So I got the oil pump set on the bench for us. Got the seal that we're gonna be pressing into there. This is gonna be the part number for the seal that you're gonna need. Yep, that is just the front seal that goes, of course, inside of the oil pump. And then a couple of the tools you're gonna need is, of course, a socket big enough to go around the seal, and then just get you a little rubber mallet, hammer, whatever you have with you, and just give it a little tap, and that's what we're gonna use to install that. So let me set you guys up on that tripod. Let's get cracking on it. Alrighty guys, hopefully this is an okay angle for you. So what we're gonna do first is, of course, we're gonna go ahead and grab our seal out of the packaging. There she is. And then the second thing you wanna do is you wanna just make sure there's no dirt or anything that's on the inside of your pump or anything like that where the seal's gonna embed. Good thing I've already cleaned this out, so we don't have to really worry too much about that one. So what we're gonna do first is, of course, grab our seal. Make sure the outsides are dry. I like to kind of install them dry. That's just how the service manual tells you to do it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a little bit of lube and lube the inside of this seal here, just so it doesn't install or get a dry start on the crank. So just put a little lube on the inside of that seal there. Just like that. Alright, so we got a little bit of lubricant on the inside of there. Go ahead and grab the seal, and you want to center it on the pump there. And once that's centered just like that, what we're going to do is going to take our big axle nut socket here, set it right onto the seal. Now you want this seal to be flush as possible with the oil pump or this ring here. So you don't want to beat up on this ring or anything like that. You want this seal to be exactly flush with it. All right, yeah, so so go ahead and take whatever tool you're gonna be using, or if you're gonna be using it or just hitting it flat, you can do that too. Just make sure everything's level. But what I'm gonna do is take my axle nut socket there, take my mallet here, and I'm gonna go ahead and get that thing centered on there. Alrighty, and then when you're done, should look something like that. Really flush around the oil pump there, as you can see. Alright, yeah, so of course, now you're done with that side. Now we're going to move over to the main seal, or the rear main seal. Alright, next up, we're going to be installing our rear main seal into our retainer. Here's going to be the part number you need for the retainer. They're stupid cheap, so it's always easier to just get a new retainer and a new rear main seal. It's a lot easier to do that. But here's going to be the part number for the retainer. Alright, and then the part number for the seal, the rear main seal. Alright, that's going to be the Toyota OEM part number. Yeah, so what we're going to do next is grab the tool that we're going to need to put that in. Now, of course, I don't have an axle nut socket to be able to fit over this, so what we're going to do is just grab our hammer. Yeah, so just grab our hammer out of there and a little rubber mallet there. Yeah, and then what we're going to be doing is just kind of tapping it lightly all the way around it until it's exactly flush with the retainer. Kind of similar as the oil pump. So let's go ahead and get started on that and get this pressed in. All right, just as similar as we did the oil pump, except you're just gonna get it all flush with where it's supposed to be. Just like that. And then some people like to just turn the whole retainer around, keep it nice and flush, and put it on the back side and try to press it in that way. I'm gonna try it just to kind of keep it to get it to stick. Just like that. Didn't want to push in all the way for me, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do some light taps with the mallet. All right, we got her nice and flush. You guys can see there. Looking really good. And always check the back side, make sure you're not folding the seal on the inside, which this one looks really good so far. That installed pretty nicely. So let's go ahead and move to the next step. Alrighty, up next is going to be installing our old galley plugs. So they're gonna be these little weird looking balls here. Whoa, one's trying to run from me. Not today, sir, not today. Alright, I'm gonna set you inside of that so you can't run away from me. Alright, so yeah, it's gonna be these little weird looking plug balls here. So they go kind of on the inside of the block just to block out any kind of oil, or it blocks out that passage there. Now if you did this right and you took your block to the machine shop, they should have removed these from the block for you. That way no metal debris or anything gets trapped in behind them. Now I already installed one of them just to make sure I was doing it right and everything there, because there wasn't much research online on how to install these. It was only showing people threading them out and putting new little plugs in there, but as of right now I'm not going to be threading those in, so I'm going to be putting the factory OEM plugs back in there. So I'm going to go ahead and install this side and show you how I did that. Alright, let me set you up on the tripod real quick. Alrighty guys, so I got you guys set up on the tripod. Now what we're going to do is going to go ahead and install this old galley plug. Now there's two hammers that I normally use. The first one is I use a mallet just to kind of seat the ball in there and to make sure it's not going to go anywhere when I tap it. And then I have this kind of like steel hammer that's I'm gonna need some force and some weight in order to get that thing down in there. But be careful not to hit your block. Of course, you don't want to damage your block or anything from that. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so here's gonna be our little galley plug here. So what we're gonna do, just make sure there's no debris or anything on the ball. Just clean it up really good. Go ahead and put it into the block there. As you're gonna notice, it's gonna stick out of the block quite heavily, a lot different than this other one. So of course, we're just gonna take our soft side of the mallet, kind of hit that baby on in there. That thing's not going anywhere. I'm not going to be able to take that back out. If I wanted to try to take that back out, it's going to have to be done by a machine shop. So be very careful, make sure it's very clean and everything like that. So now, what I'm going to do, go ahead and take my little steel hammer here, and I'm just going to go ahead and tap her on in. And as you can hear, it kind of changed tones. That's how you know it's in, and you're starting to hit the end of the block. So you don't want to hit too hard when you get to this point. Now the ball does have to go a little bit further in. So what we're gonna do is do some light taps. Make sure you're hitting center on the ball, not your block. All right. Boom. All right. Galley plugs are installed. That's the way I did that one. Not very much to it. Now what we're going to do is going to install the little oil O-rings that go for the pump there. Alright, so let's get started on that. Alrighty guys, time to install our O-rings that go on the inside of the block before I compress the oil pump on there. So here's going to be those O-rings that you're going to need. So this is going to be the big O-ring that goes down here. That's going to be the part number for that. Alright, and then you got a little smaller one up there, which actually I've been waiting for. That's going to be the part number for that one. Alright, those are the OEM part numbers. So what I'm gonna do, go ahead and take these out and go ahead and install those. What I'm gonna do is put a little bit of grease on my fingers and then kind of rub it around the seal. That way it sticks onto the block. All right, so let's go ahead and get that done. All right, first seal, I'm gonna do the bottom bigger one here. So what I'm gonna do is grab a little bit of grease here. All right, that I just have stored, kind of rubbed around in my fingers. Rub it around on the seal itself. Just like that. And this is gonna help it get a little tacky. That way it can be able to stick and stay in the block there. So now that grease is on there, go ahead and install the seal. Should fit in there perfectly, which it does. Boom. That one's installed. Let's go ahead and get up to our top one there. Same deal. Grab a little bit of grease on your finger, rub it around with the seal as well, or rub it around on the seal as well. Go ahead and install our seal on the block there. Boom. Next thing I'm going to be doing is, of course, installing our oil pump. Now, of course, you don't want to just install the oil pump just with these seals and the galley plugs, because that's not going to hold everything. So what you're going to be doing is taking the oil pump and putting some liquid gasket. I have a Toyota gasket that I'm going to be putting on the back of there for you, and I'm going to show you the way that I do that. So let's go ahead and swap over to the next slide, and I'm going to get onto the oil pump that we can put that RTV kind of on there. All right, so we'll see you in the next one. Alrighty, so now what we're going to be doing is, of course, we're going to be prepping our oil pump before actually putting this baby on. Yeah, so what we're going to do is actually take a little bit of a rag here. Actually, you know what? Use lint-free rags. Don't use a rag like this. Just being a little extra careful. Yeah, use a rag more like this. It's going to be like a lint-free rag, or any kind of rag, as long as you just don't leave anything behind, really. But just to be on the safe side of the video, I'm going to go ahead and use a lint-free rag for this one. So lint-free rag, a little bit of brake parts cleaner here. And then I'm just gonna kind of drench that down in there, and then just put my hand on the center here and just wipe off where the last liquid gasket was. Just get it real clean. Now if it's a new one, you can just go ahead and just clean prep and then just go ahead and start putting the RTV on. In my case, I have a used modified oil pump here, so I'm just gonna go ahead and just clean this baby up here. As you can see, a lot of dirt's coming off of that. Look at that. A lot of dirt's coming off of that. You want that thing to be able to seal up properly, so make sure all the dirt is off. Just prep it really good. Alrighty, that is complete. Now let's go ahead and get our gasket maker here, and then of course we're going to go ahead and put it down on the pump there, and then we're going to install it. Alright, so let's go ahead and get installing on this gasket maker here. Alrighty, got that finished up. Definitely not my best work, but I definitely got it on there. Man, it was hard as hell to squeeze that tube. I'm gonna have to get like a caulking gun or something, like a bigger tube or something next time. But what you want to do is actually go on the insides of the holes. Alright, just keep kind of following it all the way through. Now, I don't put gasket maker on those grooves there. Now, the reason behind that is so this groove is actually supposed to catch any kind of excessive gasket maker that you put on there. It's supposed to catch that before it goes into the pump. Now we got this on here. It takes about 15 minutes for this stuff to dry, so we want to go ahead and get this on the block as soon as possible. So let's go ahead and get this thing installed on the block. Let's do it. We got our oil pump here. Got all our gasket maker and everything on there. So what we're going to do to put this on, you have little dial pins that are going to be on the side of the block that are going to hold it in. Of course, make sure all your O-rings are still in there and the galley plugs are in there as well. All right, and then just as simple as putting her on. Yeah, so go ahead and slide her on. Line her up with the dial pins before submerging it. There we go. Look like she went on smooth. All the bolt holes are lined up. Now let's go ahead and get the bolts in there. Alright, so we got the bolt here. If you need the part numbers for the bolts, these are going to be the part numbers. So these are going to be, that's going to be the first part number you're going to need. That's going to be for the little guys here, the little, with the little 9 on them. And then your second part number for the 2 longer bolts are going to be this one here. that's gonna be your part number for that one. And that's gonna be for these two long ones here. Now for the two long ones, where you're gonna put this one at is there's a little passage here. Let me take you guys off the tripod here. So right here, first one's gonna go there. Oh, I'm sorry. That's not the spot. First one's gonna go here into the side of the block there. And then your next one's gonna go right up top there. That's where your two long ones are gonna go. And then all throughout the block, your little ones are gonna kind of place on in there as well. All right, so let's go ahead and get these installed, and then we'll go over torque measurements next. Almost forgot where that one went. I thought I had an extra bolt for some reason. All right, let's go ahead and zip these things down. All right, take our little 12 millimeter. Go ahead and zip these things down. We're just kind of just putting them on there. We're not gonna fully impact them or anything in there. We gotta put these into 15 foot-pounds. So try not to torque them on there. Yeah, just kind of put them on there, kind of like just hand tight, really. All right, that's all of them submerged. Now what we're gonna do is go ahead and torque these down to 15 foot-pounds. All right, so I got my torque wrench set at 15 foot-pounds on there. Done. Done. Make sure you don't forget any. There we go. All right, all those are torqued down to 15 foot-pounds. Now we're going ahead and get rolling on that. Alright, just had to do a double check just to make sure I wasn't forgetting any. And it seems that I did forget that one on that last slide there, yeah, because that one was a bit loose. So I was like, oh wow. So I'm glad I always double check your work. Yeah, so that's all good. Now we're going to move over to the water pump, and then we're probably going to get that rear main seal on after that. So, all right, stick with me. Let's do it. First, of course, your water pump, and then, of course, all the bolts and the gaskets. Now, for the water pump and the O-ring gaskets, the gaskets usually come with the water pump. This is going to be the part number for that, if you need it. And this is a 2JZ GTE water pump. This one has the little extra flow port here. All right, yeah, and then of course for the bolts, these are going to be the bolt part numbers that you're going to need. All right, you got your centering bolts, and then you got your regular bolts and everything for those. All right, yeah, so let's go ahead and get cracking and get an install into this. All right, same thing that we did with the last O-rings that were for the oil pump is we're going to take a little bit of grease on our fingers, kind of grease that all up for us. Then of course we're going to stick it right to the block there. So I'm going to go ahead and just apply that right on in there as usual, as normal. Boom. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and get our water pump on there and get our bolts. And then there's two centering bolts you have to make sure you put in there as well. So let's go ahead and grab that. Got the two bolts here side by side so you know which one's a centering bolt and which one isn't. So your centering bolt is going to be one that has like kind of like a little shroud on it, as you can see right there. Now let's see if I can get it to focus. Maybe. There it goes. So it has like a little bit of shroud kind of on there. And then your other one is just going to be just regular threads. Now let's go ahead and get those installed. I'll show you where those go. All right, so we got our water pump. Now, of course, we're going to lay that kind of flat right on there. Make sure that O-ring isn't popping out or anything like that. Make sure it's all good. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put our centering bolt. One goes there. All right, and then the other one is gonna go on the bottom side. Just like that. And then we're gonna go ahead and install our other bolts and everything on in there. Then we're gonna torque those down to 15 foot-pounds as well. Let me rephrase that. For the centering bolts, you want actually one centering bolt to go on the top end right here to the left, and then the other one is supposed to go underneath the pump, enter in right there. All right, and then all the other ones are just regular bolts all the way around it. So let's go ahead and zip these in and get them torqued. All right, water pump is installed. All right, guys, we're gonna be ending the video out here. Ran into a little bit of a dilemma here. Actually, I was gonna install the rear main seal for you guys, retainer onto the block, but I figured out, like, oh crap, where's my bolts? So that's what happened when I went to go do that. So that's gonna have to be in another video. I actually didn't even order the bolts for the retainer, so that's actually my fault. The block, when I got the block, it didn't come with the retainer or the bolts, so I had to order all this stuff again, but no biggie. I'll just put it into the next video. And then also, I don't have my water neck and all that stuff for the water pump and everything yet, so I'm not gonna be fully assembling that. That's gonna be in another video. Of course, I'm still waiting on my cam sensor as well to go into there. Everything is looking really good, and it's almost starting to look like a motor. It's looking really good. So in next video, we're going to be installing the upper and lower oil pan on there. Hopefully we can get the bolts so we can put on our rear main seal as well. But as of right now, man, she's looking real good. Cannot wait to put the head on. The head is actually still sitting over here, waiting for all the little BC components and things that we're going to be putting inside of it, and I got to send it out to the machine shop to get that done. But as of right now, man, this is how she looks. Got the water pump on, the oil pump on. Can't be more excited for that, man. Look at the Z, y'all. Looking like a full-blown snack. Got the hood off of it right now. Not too much done since last time you guys seen it. Next thing I'm gonna do on this actually will probably be in another video, but I'm gonna be painting my handles there black, so it just matched the scheme of the vehicle. But with that being said, man, this is gonna be the end of the video. I'm gonna go ahead and get working and get ordering on this on these other parts and stuff that we need for this block. So with that being said, y'all, thank y'all for coming. Thank y'all for watching as well. Subscribe, hit that like button. More content coming soon, baby. Yeah, so get ready for that thing right there. I don't know if y'all are really ready for it, but we ready. We ready, baby. All right, see y'all in the next one.